Getting into Harvard Law or any top 14 law school isn't just about being smart or working hard. It's about knowing how the system works and using that to your advantage. But most people don't do that. They spend months optimizing things that barely move the needle. They obsess over their resume format. They waste their time rewriting personal statements that were already fine. They think if they just get some fancy internship or retake one or two college classes, they'll magically become a stronger candidate. But that's not how this works. Today I'm going to walk you through step by step how I'd approach getting into Harvard Law today, especially if I didn't have a perfect GPA. Let's start with the hard facts. Harvard Law's median LSAT score is a 174, and their median GPA is a 395. So if you're not above these numbers, you're not strengthening their stats, and you become a potential liability to their rankings. Doesn't mean they won't admit you, but it does mean they're going to need a very good reason to say yes. So here's what I do if I had, say, a 3.3 GPA, which, by the way, is exactly what I had in undergrad. I would recognize immediately, okay, my GPA is not going to carry me. In fact, it's going to hurt me. That's baked in already. So I need to dominate the LSAT. Not just do okay on it, not just hope for a 165, dominate it. My personal target score in 2025 would be a 177 or higher, because while GPA is weighted heavily in law school rankings, it's also capped by how many classes you've taken and how much room you have to improve. Sure, you could ace a few community college classes and maybe move from a 3.3 to a 3.4, but that would not be nearly enough. Meanwhile, moving from a 167 to a 177, that's 10 points of leverage in just a few months of prep, which is a massive difference. Now, let's talk about wasted effort. I hear from students all the time who are retaking a couple classes from undergrad to raise their GPA, signing up for a paralegal job just to look impressive, volunteering with a legal nonprofit during their LSAT prep season, and obsessing over their personal statement wording before their LSAT score is even locked in. Are these things bad? Not in isolation, but they're not going to move the needle enough to make a serious difference, and they will distract you from what really moves the needle, which is, of course, your LSAT score. Your paralegal job is not going to make up for a 158 LSAT. Rewriting your essay won't rescue your 2.9 GPA, and volunteering won't replace missing the median LSAT score. These things take time and energy away from what really matters, which is prepping for the LSAT. So my strategy here would be ruthless prioritization rather than procrastination and avoiding the LSAT. If it doesn't improve your LSAT score or support your mental energy to prep effectively, it's a hard no. That includes socializing, part-time jobs, even things that could build your resume. This is a temporary sacrifice, but the upside is possibly getting a full ride to law school and maybe a shot at elite clerkships or big law is absolutely worth it. Now, let's look at how law school admissions actually works. They are not reading your application in a vacuum. They're balancing every potential admit against the rankings metrics, again, the median GPA and the median LSAT. Know that your highest LSAT score is what truly counts. They do not average multiple LSAT scores, and your GPA is not adjusted for the difficulty of the classes that you took. A 3.9 in art history is treated the same as a 3.9 in mechanical engineering, even though one's obviously a lot harder than the other. Your personal statements and your work experience only matter after your LSAT and GPA are strong enough to get you past the first filter. This means that schools are incentivized to admit high LSAT students even if they have low GPAs. These are the infamous splitters. Splitters help law schools push up their LSAT medians even if they might hurt on the GPA side. So if I were a splitter, I'd stop worrying about being less competitive. Instead, I would lean into it by aiming for the highest LSAT possible, because when you hit a 177 or above on the LSAT, you are no longer the underdog. You are giving them the stats boost they need. Now, if I were starting my LSAT prep from scratch today, here's the exact framework I'd follow. It's called the laser approach to LSAT prep, and it's how I personally took my score from a 152 to a 175 and helped thousands of students do the same. The L in laser is for learning, starting with the fundamentals. We are forgetting all the surface level tips and tricks here and just focusing on understanding, because you've got to know what the LSAT is really asking you in each section, logical reasoning and reading comp. You've got to master how arguments are built, how assumptions work, and how to dismantle flawed logic. If you don't understand why an answer is right, you're not yet ready. Begin with the most common logical reasoning question types: necessary assumption, inference, and flaw. You want to use short, bite-sized resources, not those 500-page LSAT prep phone books that waste your time with theory that you won't actually apply. Then we have the A in laser for accuracy, because once you've got the foundation, you want to drill questions by type. You start off untimed and you take it slow, figuring out why each wrong answer is wrong. You want to get laser specific, asking yourself, why did I fall for this answer? What trap did I fall into? And what did I misread or misinterpret? And don't just do this for wrong answers, review the correct guesses as well. Because if you guessed and got it right, that's not mastery, it's just luck, and you want to treat it like a mistake and figure it out. Then we've got S for individual sections, where we go full speed, under real test conditions, 35 minutes, no distractions, on the computer, not on a book. You want to track your pacing for logical reasoning, try to solve the first 10 questions in roughly 10 minutes, then use that time bank to slow down on the harder questions where most students crash and burn. If you find yourself getting stuck on any single question, flag it, skip it, and move on, because time management is also a skill, and this is how you build it. Then we move on to E for exams and endurance, where you take full-length timed practice tests, not just to simulate test day, but also to build your stamina, reduce test anxiety, and smooth out any fluctuations in your score. You want to see how your performance holds up across all 4 sections, especially in the final month before test day. And finally, we have R for review. This is the most important phase, but most people just skip it or phone it in. Here's how to actually review. For every question you get wrong, ask yourself, where did I go wrong? Was it in the argument, the question stem, or the answer choices? Then identify the exact trap you fell for. Don't just say to yourself, I misread it. Figure out why. And of course, look for patterns in your mistakes. Are you struggling with causation, conditional logic? Maybe you're reading too quickly. This is how you stop making the same mistakes, because the LSAT repeats itself. And if you train your brain to spot these traps, you're going to get faster and more accurate over time. Now, most students pick a test date just because they feel ready. This is a bad idea. Instead, I would treat this like a product launch. I would reverse engineer my schedule from test day, lock in weekly goals for laser, number of drills, number of timed sections, and number of review sessions I've put in. Leave at least 3 weeks of full-length exams before the real thing, and schedule some downtime too, because burnout is going to kill your performance. No cramming, no panic, just systematized prep with clear milestones. Now, if I truly wanted to get into Harvard Law in 2025, I wouldn't leave anything to chance. I would commit 100% to crushing the LSAT, and I would build a system to make sure I followed through. Because in the admissions game, one single day, one test can change the entire trajectory of your career. And for once, it's not about who you know or what school you went to, it's about one number, so you want to make it count.